Ironclad Irrefutable Evidence Seminar Series. Episode 31. CCP doctors sever limb tendons of a detained Falun Gong practitioner to facilitate live organ harvesting. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Ironclad Irrefutable Evidence Seminar Series. I am Zhiyuan Wang. And also, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to, and share this program. This is a critical issue related to the well-being and security of each individual, every community, and the entire society. Thank you very much for your attention and support. Today's episode is about an eyewitness's account of the Chinese Communist Party, CCP doctors, severing limb tendons of a detained Falun Gong practitioner prior to live organ harvesting. On July 25, 2022, Japanese economic commentator Ushio Sugawara told the WOIFPG that he had seen with his own eyes a real incident in connection with the CCP harvesting organs from living Falun Gong practitioners. His account was interpreted from Japanese to Chinese by Xiao Guangzheng, a Japanese-based Falun Gong practitioner. The witness said the Armed Police General Hospital in Beijing would sever limb tendons of detained Falun Gong adherents to keep their organs in a relaxed state for quality transplant prior to the surgery. We can supply any number of donors suitable for organ transplantation, given China's huge population, said a transplant doctor in the hospital, according to the witness. In other words, they had living people, as many as they needed to remove organs from. These remarks reaffirmed the existence of Nazi-style death concentration camps, a bank of organs from living humans in communist China. Here is an excerpt from a live video of Mr. Sugawara whistleblowing. Hello, Mr. Sugawara. Thank you very much for your courage to stand up against the CCP's crimes of organ harvesting. Human history will remember your act of upholding justice. The evidence you'll provide will be a huge help to full investigations into the CCP's crimes against humanity. Now, please tell us about your experience regarding the CCP's live organ removal from Falun Gong practitioners. Mr. Sugawara's account. Well, that was in 2007. A friend of mine was suffering from liver cancer in its late stage. The hospital told him he could lose his life any time. In Japan, his only hope was a liver transplant. No way could he receive such a care in Japan due to strict domestic laws. A foreign care was what he could think of. He was considering a treatment in the US, France, or China, and the cheapest and fastest alternative was China. There was cooperation between hospitals in Japan and Beijing. Affluent Chinese as tourists fly to Japan and receive medical exams or treatment with the help of agents. It was against this backdrop that my friend's elder brother was referred to the Armed Police General Hospital in Beijing. Then they started seeking a liver that would match him. When his surgery was scheduled, the patient flew to Beijing and received exams. I could have had nothing to do with his operation, but I happened to find him stuck in trouble on my visit to him. Something's gone wrong with the needed plasma albumin in the face of the coming operation. They need it in case of hemorrhage. So the fake medicine almost aborted the planned surgery. I, being present, was asked if I could deliver that medicine from Japan to him. In Japan, there were strict restrictions on its management. It was impossible to buy it in large quantity in a short time. They said they needed 45 boxes of it, and I got only 30. I immediately started off as soon as the medicine was available. I flew from Kansai International Airport and landed in Beijing via Dalian. With the help from the government, I safely entered Dalian, and I boarded another flight bound for Beijing as officially arranged. While waiting to claim my luggage at the Beijing airport, a policeman came over, declaring that the medicine I had carried had an issue. At that moment, I was already inside China, and a government vehicle was waiting for me. But trouble sprang up with my medicine, so this caused a delay. Finally, a VIP government official showed up and helped me out, so I delivered the medicine to the Armed Police General Hospital in Beijing. To my surprise, we followed a passage for government officials, only from the airport to the hospital. A vehicle was even leading the way in front of us. Things were indeed unusual in China, and we reached the hospital. After delivering the medicine, I met the patient and offered my greetings. I also met the agent who arranged for the operation, a doctor who spoke fluent Japanese. Interested in looking at the organ donor? He asked. Just next to the patient's room. It's a separate locked ward. In it, a curtain surrounded the donor. There I saw a very young man, as in his 20s, in deep sleep as by anesthetic, with all his hands and feet fastened with bandages. I was told that his limb tendons had been cut before the surgery, to prevent him from escaping or panicking, which might do harm to his liver. Then he was put into a state of senselessness under medication. The agent started telling me that the donor was a death row prisoner. He said many were sentenced to death in China for doing bad deeds. In this way, they could make some contribution to others before death. Nobody viewed this as inappropriate. Then I asked about what bad deeds he had done. The agent said that the guy was a member of a terrorist group called Falun Gong. I knew nothing about Falun Gong at that time, so I didn't think much of that. 2. Questions and answers. He said it was about terrorist crimes. When you asked him what kind of terrorist crimes he committed, his answer was Falun Gong. Is that so? Falun Gong, whose Japanese name is also Falun Gong. They said Falun Gong practitioners were a very large group. Of course, the agent defamed them, claiming that they tried to topple the government, and so on. I knew nothing about the topic, so I dismissed it perfunctorily. How horrible. So he had it clear. The donor was a Falun Gong practitioner. Very dangerous, with very healthy organs. To stop him from running away, as well as his body from becoming tense. His body would shrink upon execution the following day. To prevent that, they severed all his limb tendons, as I was told. There was a tube in his mouth, presumably infusing nutrients and anesthetics into his body. So the agent clearly explained that the bandage was there due to the severed tendons to relax his muscles. He clearly said the limb tendons had been severed, correct? Yes, correct. I handed over the medicine to the hospital and returned to my hotel in Beijing. The next day, I flew back to Japan. I found an article in the Epoch Times in which you also mentioned that the transplantation doctor told you that with a huge population in China, they could supply any number of suitable organ donors. Is this what he said? Exactly. He said they could find organs that would match patients. If those organs didn't match, they could take other donors. They could supply as many as needed. This is what he said. Anyway, there are so many death row prisoners in China. As for these bad people, just make the most of them. Those were his words. So he clearly said, with a large population in China, we could supply suitable donors at will. He did say that, right? Yes, he said so. He said, in China, they could find as many organs as needed. While you were looking at the donor in the hospital, that doctor, the agent, told you all this, right? Yes. Did he mention how many operations their hospital did in a year? No, he didn't. That agent, the doctor, what was his name? The agent and doctor's last name was Lee. No idea of the first name. Male or female? Male. He had studied in Japan, right? Yes. He's supposed to have studied plastic surgery. He used to engage in medical cosmetology in Japan. How did you get to know this person? How did you meet him? It was the family of the patient who introduced him to me. I hadn't known him. So you met him when you visited your friend at the hospital, right? Yes. So when you visited your hospitalized friend who was waiting for transplantation, that person, the agent, was also in the room. He told you about the situation and let you see the donor, right? Exactly. One more thing. When you were leaving the Beijing airport, trouble happened with the medicine you took. The CCP side appeared and resolved it for you. About the troubleshooter, who was he? How many of them were there? It was a CCP official. A vehicle was for the armed police, and a black vehicle was for that CCP official. The armed police vehicle was for safeguarding. It was the CCP official that helped me clear the customs. seemingly a high-ranking official. We were in different cars. I was in the hospital's vehicle. There are passages for high-ranking government officials only in Beijing. Since we went through such a passage, I judged that he was a senior government official. 3. Last questions for confirmation. I would like to confirm at the end. Mr. Sugawara, we highly appreciate your evidence. We, the WOIFPG, are committed to collecting evidence for investigating the CCP's crimes of persecuting Falun Gong practitioners. We must confirm that you are voluntarily presenting this piece of evidence to our group and revealing the CCP's crime of harvesting organs from living Falun Gong practitioners, right? Yes, I've already put my experience into writing. Could you show us your article? It's not an academic paper, but a column article. I did it. Great job. Thank you very much. Again, I would like to confirm, you guarantee what you describe is all based on what you really experienced, what you saw with your own eyes, and these are all true facts and evidence, right? Yes. I am so grateful, Mr. Sugawara. According to more than 10 years of systematic investigations by the WOIFPG, it has been corroborated that the criminal CCP group, headed by its late leader, Jiang Zemin, has been manipulating China's entire state apparatus, including the party, the government, the military, the armed police, the judicial system, and medical institutions, through the Political and Legal Affairs Commission and the 610 office, to engage in nationwide live organ harvesting and commit genocide against Falun Gong practitioners since 1999. This has been ongoing for over 2 decades. Even to this day, this is a devastating persecution against the moral baseline of humanity, a massive criminal campaign by the CCP, and an unprecedented form of evil on this planet. By live organ harvesting for transplants, the CCP has created an expensive glory industry that is more profitable than drugs and arms trafficking. This industry chain has already been spreading towards the entire Chinese society. For those who do not yet know the truth in this regard, you should never think that organ harvesting against Falun Gong practitioners is so far away from you that it has nothing to do with you. In fact, the CCP's traps and thugs are everywhere around you, and everyone in mainland China is at stake. WOIFPG calls upon every insider to help collect perpetrators, names, and criminal evidence. Hopefully, at this critical juncture in history, everyone will choose to stand by justice. Together, let's hold the CCP accountable for all its atrocities and get rid of the evil specter called communism once and for all. World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong, WOIFPG, was founded on January 20th, 2003. It is based in New York with branches in Europe, Australia, Asia, and Canada. WOIFPG's mission is to investigate the criminal conduct of all institutions, organizations, and individuals involved in the persecution of Falun Gong. To bring such investigations, no matter how long it takes, no matter how far and deep we have to search, to full closure, to exercise fundamental principles of humanity, and to restore and uphold justice in society. The principle of our investigation holds that those who have committed crimes shall be brought to justice. Individuals shall bear the same responsibility for their involvement in their organization's crimes, and those instigating the persecution shall bear the same responsibility of those who have physically carried out the persecution. We intend to uproot state-sanctioned crimes and safeguard human morality. The criminal conduct of all individuals within organizations, units, and departments involved in the persecution will be thoroughly investigated and brought to justice.